As I've grown and I've evolved and I've shaped my life in the ways that I've wanted to shape it, I've learned a couple of lessons. So as I've grown and evolved and shaped my life in the way that I want it to be, I've learned a bunch of lessons. There's so many lessons that I've learned that I could sit here and talk about, but I'm going to select a few lessons that I think might be beneficial. These might be the lessons that maybe I would share with my younger self. I always get asked that question, so interesting. What advice would you give your younger self? And to be honest, there's a lot of things that I'll tell my younger self, and there's a few of those lessons today that I want to share with you because they've helped me move through life in a way that feels meaningful, in a way that feels fulfilling, in a way that feels authentic. And bearing in mind, I've learned some of these lessons the hard way. I didn't always learn it in the easy way. So one of the lessons is health is the real wealth. And I know today especially mainstream media society, we talk about mental health and emotional health and physical health and spiritual. We talk about health holistically and how important it is. But I don't think I realized until later in my life. And when I say later, I mean when COVID came, I kind of had a bit of a wake-up call. And I realized how important health is. I realized how without health, I can't be great at my business. Without health, I can't be great at my 9-to-5 job. Without health, I can't be my best self in my romantic relationship. Without health, I can't hang out with my friends. Without health, I can't be the best for my family. I can't possibly do the things that I want to do if I'm not healthy across the board. So health to me is the real wealth. And I've spoken in another episode how a lot of wealthy people would trade all of their wealth just to be healthy again. They'd be like, they'd rather not have money and be healthy. And there's so many cases of that because without your health, you can't really live a life that is good to you, that is true to you, because it's the foundation. A house is built on a good foundation. That foundation in a human, in a person, is health. If you're not healthy, then chances are you live a life that isn't that great. And there's this saying around how a healthy person has many wishes, but a sick person only has one, which is to be healthy again. And so that gives me a lot of food for thought. Another one is time is the most valuable asset in the world. And I'm sure all of us have wasted a fair share amount of time doing things that were not the most productive, but you learn your lessons. Like I know for a fact, maybe when I was in uni, I went clubbing a bit too much. Maybe I overdone it, but it's okay. You live and you learn. The thing here is, it isn't just about what you waste time on. It's about what you spend and invest time on. There's this concept that Stephen Bartlett spoke about in his book, Happy Sexy Millionaire, which was the casino of life, where every day you get given chips, and each chip you get to place. And you place it on the things that you spend time on. And you only have a limited set of chips. The casino of life has given you a limited amount of chips for your life and for your day. And you get to spend each chip with everything that you do. Now, you're going to be a lot more intentional knowing that there is a limit. And this is true across the board. If you know you only have a limited amount of money, you're going to be very intentional about how you're going to spend that money. If you know you only have a limited amount of time, which some of us tend to forget. For some reason, we forget that we only have a certain amount of time in this life. We take this life for granted instead of taking it for gratitude. We forget that we're not here forever, and we sometimes live life as if we are going to be here forever. But time is the most valuable asset in the world. What you give time to, what you spend your time on, what you invest time on, that is really what matters the most, because at the end of your life, you're not going to look back and think about the material stuff that you had. You're going to look back and think about how much time you spent with your loved ones, how much time you spent doing things that actually are meaningful to you, how much time you spend doing the things that you love, not the things that others wanted you to do. So time, to me, is the most valuable asset in the world. Then another one off of that is that hard work always pays off. Hard work always pays off. Today, especially on the internet, there's this idea that if you just work smart instead of working hard, you're going to be fine. I think you have to firstly work hard before you can start to work smart. You have to maximize your time and energy before you can start to be smarter about your time and energy. I always disagree with people who think that they can just do it the other way around. Oh, I can just work smart instead of working hard. No, you need both. You need both. You need to work hard first, and then you can learn how to work smart. But if you just work smart first, you're not even maximizing your potential with working hard. And I want to be honest, because it doesn't matter if it takes you time, but it always pays off. In the end, it always pays off. Hard work always pays off. There's never been a time where someone has given their absolute best, their absolute all, and the universe didn't reward them in the end. Trust me, hard work always pays off. I can speak from my experience. I can speak from other people's experience who, you'll see most people who have achieved so many things in their life, they go online and they always talk, and the one thing that they never undermine is hard work. Next is be accountable for everything in your life. This to me is paramount to anything. Make everything your fault. Because guess what? It is. It is your fault. Everything is your fault. And if you believe that everything is someone else's fault, you're never going to take control of your life. You take control of your life when you accept that everything in your life you are accountable for. If you're accountable for things, and if you're accountable for every single thing in your life, you're giving yourself power. And I think I spoke in a different episode how I used to play chess a lot when I was a kid. And as a chess player, when you win or when you lose, it's absolutely your fault. There was no such thing as luck. Every single move that you made led you to either winning or losing that game. And that was your fault. You're accountable for everything on that chessboard. And if you think of life as a chessboard, you're accountable for every move that you make in your life. Number 5, the other lesson here that I want to talk about is starting early. Starting early. I think you can kind of apply this across multiple different facets. I could talk about start early with your day, which I do. I start at 5 a.m. And I generally feel like I get more out of my day by waking up earlier and doing things earlier. That's just me. I'm not saying you have to wake up at 5 a.m. every day. I'm not saying that's the point of this lesson. But I'm saying you could extrapolate it to that. So on the micro, starting early could mean waking up earlier so you get on with your day earlier. On the macro, it could just mean that you do things earlier. I could have started this podcast earlier. I could have started a newsletter earlier. I could have started a video podcast earlier. Like I could have done a lot of things in my life earlier. I could have started coaching earlier. So there's all these things in my life that I look back, I could have started it earlier. So that's the macro that I'm trying to reach here is how could you have started things earlier than what you did? Another lesson I want to talk about is, and this really annoys me, everyone loves complaining. Everyone loves complaining for absolutely everything in their lives. But guess what? You don't get to complain about the results you didn't get from the work you didn't put in. And yet everyone loves to do that. Everyone loves to complain about how they didn't achieve something or they didn't get something. But did you even put the work for it? Or are you just complaining because it makes you feel better about not doing the things that you should have done in order to achieve the things that you wanted to achieve? Which one is it? Are you just cope? Is it just cope? Are you coping? You don't get to complain about the results you didn't get from the work you didn't put in. I said this just earlier. If you put yourself to everything, you give it your best, you give it your all, for a period of time, you stay committed and you're consistent, the universe is going to reward you. It always does. I've never seen anyone not get what they want after giving 110% of them to that one thing. I've never seen it happen. The universe is very, very giving and it rewards you. I'm telling you. Focus on what you can control, not on what you cannot control. If you're an overthinker, or if you have patterns of overthinking, you'll fall a lot into this one because when something happens, you always focus on the thing that you cannot control. You never focus on the thing that you can control. And for the most part, because there are things in our lives that we cannot control, there are. there are also things in our lives that we can control. And what are those things? Well, for a starter, the things that you can control is how you respond to life. You cannot stop life from happening to you. That you cannot do. But you can control how you respond. You can manage how you handle something. You can navigate things differently. You can respond to life differently. And it starts with a choice. You can not stop life from happening, but you can choose how you respond to life happening. And that's given me a lot of peace. Again, I don't like things that take away power or control. That's why I emphasize accountability and focusing on what you can control. I like things that you can tangibly get power from, get control from. I don't like giving it away, you know? And that's why, again, we talked about complaining earlier. Complaining to me is just cope. You are coping. If you really did your best, the universe is going to reward you. And so focus on what you can control, not what you can't. Because when you focus on what you cannot control, you're wasting time, you're wasting energy. It's not productive. And we talked about productivity in a different episode. It's not productive at all. It's not constructive. If anything, it's destructive. And we always talk about positive spirals, but we never talk about negative spirals. You can have a negative spiral. You can have a downward negative spiral, the same way that you can have a upwards positive spiral. It's possible. So if you're complaining all the time, complaining feeds complaining, negativity feeds negativity, and you're stuck in that cycle, and you don't want to be there. So you have to shift your focus into something that you can take action. When you can control something, you can take action on that something. Another thing I want to talk about is being a quicker decision maker. There's two types of decisions, okay? There's the decisions that you make that are reversible, meaning you take a decision, didn't work out, you can go back to the previous state. And there are decisions that are irreversible, meaning you make a decision and you cannot go back. The mistake that we make here is, one, we take very long making decisions, but two, we confuse the two. We tend to believe that most decisions are irreversible, meaning that we cannot go back. But that's not true. If you actually think about every single decision in your life, most of the decisions in your life are actually pretty damn reversible. So learn to, one, be quicker at making decisions, but also be honest. Is this a reversible decision? Most of the times it is. I'll tell you that for free. Most of the times it is a reversible decision. So it's just that we tend to overthink and we tend to exaggerate and we tend to think that everything is irreversible, but it isn't. It actually isn't. Don't find things, build them. Don't find love, build love. Don't find your passion, build your passion. Stop thinking that you're just going to one day look at the floor and be like, oops, oh, I found passion, I found love, I found passion. You're not finding things, you're building them. You won't just find your passion, you will build your passion. You won't just find love, you will build love. The best things in life, you're not going to find them, you're going to build them. You don't find health, you build health. You don't find wealth, you build wealth. Right? And it takes time, but you build it. You don't find it. And then last but not least, and I've said this before, but I love this because it's so important to me, it's progress is better than perfect. Progression is better than perfection. And direction matters a lot more than speed. A lot of the times especially in the fast-paced world that we live in, we always emphasize how we need to get there quick. But to be honest, I just rather be going in the right direction. Because you could be going quick in the wrong direction and you're going to crash. So I'd rather go slow, but in the right direction. Because at least I know that I'm going to get to the destination that I want. So direction matters a lot more than speed. And that's just like an extra to add on top of the fact that progress is better than perfect. We've reached that segment in the podcast where we get to go through a question, right? It's called Just a Moment. And we take a moment to look at the Diary of CEO conversation cards by Stephen Bartlett. We take out a question, we read it out, I'll answer it. Whatever question comes out, I'll answer it. So you get to know me a bit better. And then I'll ask you back so that I can get to know you a bit better. All right, so let's do this. Let's see what we have in store. You get to see the question first, as always. Right. If you could give one piece of advice to yourself at the start of your life, what would it have been? This question was asked by Steve Peters and it was answered by Sadiq Khan. So the question is, again, I'll repeat it. If you could give one piece of advice to yourself at the start of your life, what would it have been? This is very interesting as a question because it kind of ties really well to today's episode. What piece of advice would I have given myself at the start of my life? What would it have been? I think it would have been to stop waiting for the perfect time, to stop waiting for the right time. I would have told myself at the start of my life, like, stop waiting for the right time. Stop waiting for the perfect time, because there's no such thing as perfect or right. The only perfect or right time is now, is today. It's now. I would have told that to myself at the start, because I definitely waited too long for some things. And I think the earlier you start, the earlier you learn the lessons, the earlier you make the progress. So to me, that would have been the all-encompassing advice. It would be just stop waiting. Stop wasting time. We're not here forever. We're here for a limited amount of time. So we need to make the most out of that time. What about you? If you could give yourself one piece of advice at the start of your life, what would it have been? I'd love to know. Let me know. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for watching, for listening. I appreciate you so much, your time, your energy. If you've learned something from today's episode, if you've enjoyed it, if you've taken value away from it, then I would ask you one thing and one thing only. It takes a couple of seconds and it means the world to me and to the podcast, and it helps us grow so much. If you could just hit the subscribe button, that would help us massively. Thank you.